When East Ridge High School opened in 2009, one of its main pillars was a commitment to technology. East Ridge High School is committed to the use of technology to enhance instruction and provide the best learning environment for every student. So piloting a hybrid political science course for trimester 3 is certainly one way toward fulfilling that commitment. This course would fulfill the graduation requirement for political science. This course can be accessed through the political science website in the District 833 Moodle course, and all of the learning modules can be also located there, along with the class syllabus, which is also accessible and is the same syllabus that is available to students in the regular political science course. Why hybrid learning? Let's watch a quick YouTube clip on how a teacher team in Colorado flips their instruction.
I'm Aaron Sams and I teach science here at Woodland Park High School. My ultimate goal, I guess, as a teacher is to help students become learners who can learn for themselves and by themselves. One of the problems that I was guilty of even prior to flipping my classroom around was the classroom was centered around me. I told them exactly what to learn, how to learn it, what assignments to do to learn it, and when to learn it, and how to prove to me that they learned it. I don't do that anymore. We changed the plates in which content is delivered. Instead of standing in front of a class and delivering, here's how you do this type of problem, here's how this works, I deliver that direct instruction now asynchronously at home through these videos that we make with Camtasia Studio. Times till whole.
Oh, we didn't do that last time.
The last step, they were already whole numbers. We had 1, 1, and 4. Here we don't have a whole number. So here's a few little tricks when you need to multiply by whole numbers. If one of your numbers ends in 0.5, you're going to multiply by 2.
Something 0.5 times it by 2.
Right.
Okay, write this down, guys.
Yes. If something ends in 0.3 or 0.33 or 0.66, you multiply by 3. When the kids come to class, they don't show up to learn new stuff. They show up to apply the things that they learn at home and to ask me questions about the things they learned at home. So now they can have my lesson, if you will, what I would normally have stood up and lectured to them in class with some added features. They get that at home. And then what they were expected to do for homework is now what they do in my class. Life is different for me because I no longer am the guy who stands up in the front of the classroom and just yaks at a student for an hour or however long the class is. Now I walk around the class and I help kids. I'm a tutor, I'm a guide, I'm the putter outer of fires, whatever it happens to be. In my crazy chemistry class, I walk around and do that. I don't stand up front and teach under the kind of a traditional model. I'm Aaron Sams. I'm a teacher. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. And I love Camtasia Studio.
Advantages of a hybrid environment. Hybrid environments are definitely student-centered as students get direct individual instruction, and that instruction is provided in a digital environment. For example, the Khan Academy is a well-known and well-used online content delivery system. It's one possible option that would be available as a resource for this online instruction.
In the U.S., we don't directly vote for our president or vice president. Instead, we use something called the Electoral College.
Online delivery system is called Khan Academy, and
so when you show up to vote
this
on election
actual
day,
one is based on the Electoral College.
In November of an election year, and it could happen as early as November 2nd, and it could happen as...
We'll fast forward and show you some of the other ways that this is offered.
Each state will vote together, and each state will get only one vote. So in a tiebreaker, the big states really lose out, because in a tiebreaker, Texas will get only one vote.
So that's an example of one resource. You could also use Hippocampus, which is a vetted website offered by the Monterey Institute and well regarded. Offers a course in American government, which probably would be drawn from as an additional resource. showing an example of what that would look like. Students currently use this website also as a resource in my traditional face-to-face classroom for political science. They have a presentation option where they can view it as a video.
Wherever people coexist, they need policies in place to govern them.
Or students also who would prefer a verbal source would be able to read text and page through it. The definite advantages of these types of systems are students have the ability to pace their learning. If they want to reread something or view it over again, they control the pace and delivery. It's flexible. Because of that flexible nature, students aren't committed to having to ask the instructor to repeat something so that they don't miss it. They're able to go back for that delivery as many times as necessary. It's also non-traditional in that it's similar to post-secondary or college environments. And it allows for increased opportunity and monitoring of participation for all students. Improved assessment environments that provides an opportunity for more focused and timely feedback. So in other words, in a flipped classroom, the traditional teaching time is used for student-centered coaching and tutoring, and for opportunities for application of the learning and peer interaction in unique events, possibly assemblies where speakers could be brought in to speak to all of the sections simultaneously. Formative assessment for learning. The majority of the assessment would be done online and would be formative, in other words, providing student and teacher information on the status of that student's learning. And if we look at a website based on, to discuss formative assessment, Dylan Williams, Rick Stiggins, well-known and respected formative assessment experts like James Popham propose the following. An assessment is formative to the extent that information from the assessment is used during the instructional segment in which the assessment occurred, and to adjust that instruction with the intent of better meeting the needs of students assessed. So in an online setting, this online assessment would be connected to the assessment, connected to that lesson plan, so that students would understand what they know and what they don't know, and teachers would also be able to understand what students don't know and either remediate that or directly intervene in that student's learning. In other words, in using the term assessment, it is envisioned that both formal and informal means are used to engage the student's level of understanding of what is being taught, and that the results of the assessment must be available to the students and teachers to use while there is time to make adjustments to that instruction assessed. If you don't have any time to make any changes, there's no point in doing the test. So it's there to meet the needs of the students. Online assessment provides that opportunity. Summative assessment, or assessment of the learning, is really game time. It's when students have to show and perform and demonstrate their mastery, and most of that assessment will be completed in the traditional classroom setting. It also meets 21st century skill objectives, and we'll access that website right now. It shows a nice graphic to illustrate the objectives of 21st century learning. And if you look on the right side of this graph shows, or graphic shows, that information, media, and technology skills are a core component of 21st century skills. Since most students really are wired to access a multimedia perspective, that type of delivery system seems to make a lot of sense. So what's next in learning technology in higher education? As we consider the impact technology changes the how instead of the what, the tools emerge that address one or more of the 5 areas include enhanced effectiveness of student studies, easy internet publishing of content like blogging, wikis, students' websites, and that merges the classroom and online environments. As we've discussed, formative assessment via learning interactions between faculty and students, and this rich media access through the internet and content which is managed and orchestrated by that faculty or facilitator is really the beauty of a hybrid environment. Peter Drucker is a well-known and well-respected expert in management and in learning and in teaching, and students would be able to use something like this instructional video to maybe hyperlink to the credibility of a speaker or a website or a piece of information, so that students could then go in and look to see about the credibility and bias of certain websites. In this example, this tells us the background of Peter Drucker. We can go in and really check the credibility of this speaker or this individual. Talks about the different books he's written, different places he's got degrees. And Drucker points out in a book called Managing the Next Society that information revolution, like the Industrial Revolution 2 centuries ago, has not changed what we do with information, but rather how we do it. So the progress in learning systems in the last 10 years represents solid technology innovation that's here to stay. Our proposed model, based on visits with teachers from Bloomington Kennedy, Mounds View, and the Online Learning Leadership Network in District 287 and 916 that we participate in, we show that a political science hybrid would be based on 20% traditional face-to-face, an optional 20% flex day as students self-directed would come in as needed, but would be compulsory if a facilitator required a student to come in based on the formative assessments that were done to support their learning, and that 60 to 80% would be delivered online. The minimum requirements for this would be that students would be expected to at least visit the site once a day. Doesn't necessarily mean that they would work on anything, but just to check in. But the flexibility of being able to work on their learning based on their schedule is really an attractive option for students. Facilitators would be required to reply to any communications within 48 hours, hopefully more frequently than that. No required check-in time or reply minimums for weekends or breaks. And the flex days are optional as earlier discussed, but could be required as directed by the course facilitator, especially if that student actually missed a classroom day of instruction. So there you have it. There's the ideas and objectives behind hybrid learning in political science at East Ridge High School, and we'd be happy to address any questions that you might have related to this. You can also check in with me online, Gordon Den, gden@swc833.org.